Thank you for staying with us. You're still watching The Breakfast on Plus TV Africa. Right now, we're discussing Nigeria's democratic dilemma and the fact that youths are on the streets with the opposition in shambles. This morning, we dive into the growing wave of civic resistance and the political uncertainty gripping the nation. From Lagos to Abuja, Oyo to Rivers, young Nigerians under the Take It Back movement defied police warnings and took to the streets in protest. Clad in orange beret, their voices echoed frustration over the economy, governance, and the recent political decisions, all happening against the backdrop of the National Police Day celebration. Simultaneously, the nation's opposition appears to be in disarray. Coalition talks are faltering, ambitions are clashing, and questions arise over whether they can mount a credible challenge to President Bola Tinubu in 2027. Are we witnessing a citizen revolt in the absence of a strong political alternative is the question. Joining us this morning to unpack all of this is Comrade Mark Adebayo, is a National Publicity Secretary of the Coalition of United Political Parties. Good morning, Comrade Mark. Thank you for joining us.
Good morning, Rume. Thank you for having me. Good morning, viewers.
Good morning.
Good morning. So, I mean, the police had obviously spoken about this. They told the youths not to go into the streets to protest, that it would be hijacked. And we saw, footages from some of this protest. In fact, the police actually went on these people, helicopters everywhere. Some of them were being manhandled and just, everywhere was in disarray. But looking at this now, the fact that the youth defied what they have been told, which is do not go into the streets to protest, are we seeing the rise of people actually waking up to ensure that their voices will be heard?
Yeah, thank you so much. You see, oftentimes in this country, the police do not see themselves as the Nigeria police. That is the police for Nigerians. They see themselves as police for the people in government. They see themselves as police for the president, for the ministers, for the governors, for the politically exposed elites. That's how the Nigeria police, see themselves. They don't see themselves as policing for Nigerians and policing for Nigeria. They see themselves as policing for the people in power. That is the way. That is the problem. That is the challenge that we have. You cannot. Actually, the Constitution provides that the Nigeria police should provide protection for people who want to engage in peaceful protest. That is what the law says. That Nigeria police shall provide security for them. Once they know or they hear or they are informed that there will be some kind of rally or peaceful protest. In order for it not to be hijacked by hoodlums, it is the responsibility, it is the constitutional duty of the Nigeria police to provide protection and security for the peaceful protesters. For as long as it's a peaceful protest, the Nigeria police has the responsibility to protect protesters, to provide security for protesters, and disallow hoodlums from hijacking the process. So the excuse that, because we don't want to be hijacked by hoodlums, that's why we are saying they should not. You cannot. The police, the Nigeria police, have no rights under the law, have no authority under the law to stop Nigerians from peacefully gathering and expressing their opinion about the economy of the country, about the insecurity, about the killings, about the terrible state of the economy, and the overall failure of the current government. So the police have no such authority under the law to say Nigerians cannot gather for a peaceful protest. No, they have no such authority. And the fact that they are manhandling the people, what they are committing is akin to a war crime. So the IGP better knows now that because he's there now, even now, he's not under immunity. He's going to be dragged to court. He's going to be dragged to the International Criminal Court for disturbing Nigerians from carrying out their legitimate civic rights as guaranteed under the 1999 Nigerian Constitution as amended. So they have no right to tell people don't go out of protest. Look, if today now, they say APC people, they want to do counter rally, you see that the police now provide cover for them. So that's why I said they don't behave as if they are Nigeria police. They behave as if they are policing only for the people in power. only for the people in power. That is Agaji. Any government in power is what the Nigeria police work with, which is anomalous, which is abnormal, which is illegal, which is unconstitutional, which is undemocratic. So, in fact, it's uncivil for the Nigeria police to behave that way, you know. And all these things, you cannot suppress the legitimate expression of frustration by the citizens. You cannot. The more you try to frustrate that, the more you try to trample upon our rights, the bigger the protest becomes. That is what it should go into their head. That is what they should know. Since our student days, 30-something years ago, protests were always peaceful until police intervene. Protests will be going on peacefully, let the police come in. Then it becomes violent. Because they will come in with all the bravado of arms and begin to fire into the, sometimes, many times, oftentimes, live ammunition into the midst of students that are protesting. Leave the police out of it, everything will go peacefully and go well. So that is what we have been seeing. It's quite anomalous, and I think the police should know that they are for Nigerians and they are for Nigeria and not for the people in power.
Yes, on the one hand, we are saying that the police should provide protection. That's their primary responsibility to protesters. But on the other hand, some people are saying the protests are not even working because, for instance, they don't have a particular agenda. All the time, people just go on the streets and nothing gets achieved. No clear-cut demands are made, or no direction is given to any protest. How would you respond to that? Is it that the protests are useless, they are not achieving what they should achieve, and they are not giving a direction to how the policy of Nigeria should be?
I think that's a very wrong assumption. In fact, the protests are not even frequent enough. They are not frequent enough at all, because there are many issues that need to be addressed directly by the citizens of this country. We are not saying people should take laws into their hands, but we have a right as citizens to take our fate into our hands. People should be able, to express themselves, to express their frustration and protest against the atrocious economic policies of the government. They have a right to protest against the violation of the fundamental human rights of the people. Now, the protest you are talking about, has its own agenda. In times of the misuse of the cyberbullying, cybercrime, law by the Nigeria police and the politically exposed people, the elite who use the Nigeria police to, harass people into silence, even this government. Well, I do not in any way support irresponsible use or misuse of social media. No, I am not like that. I don't support for instance, somebody bringing out gun on social media and mentioning people and mentioning their children, mentioning their schools and saying we are coming for you. No. That is cyber terrorism. I do not subscribe to all this irresponsible. There's a difference between intelligently criticizing what the government is doing or is not doing well, and outright irresponsible outbursts of insulting people, attacking people unjustly, using uncouth languages as if you are an ill-trained, spoiled child. I don't support all those things. I don't support people using the social space for committing crime. Like, look at two youngsters who are taken away from Nigeria to the US because they use the social media to cause the suicide of one 16-year-old boy in the US. So those are the areas that the laws must protect, but not to the extent that somebody comes out to analyze the economic situation, the security situation in the country, and saying the government is not doing well, and then you go after him or her, and then you pick him up and lock him up. No, that is not. And that even during the military, some of the things that are being committed under some of the human rights violations that are being committed under the Tinubu administration were not even committed during the military regime. And this was a man who stood rock solid, fighting against the military, fighting against injustice, fighting against anti-democratic forces. Today, he has now become the champion of anti-democratic forces in this country today as president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. He is now the one removing a governor, something that he did not accept when he was governor, when Obasanjo tried to do that. He is now the one, confiscating the resources of the state that Obasanjo did to him as president when he was governor. Now he's replicating the same thing. It's quite unfortunate. He has disappointed. As a matter of fact, he has disappointed his calling as a former Democrat. So, because as a former activist, the president, unfortunately, has disappointed his calling. He has, as a matter of fact, he's now a champion of anti-democratic forces in the country. It's quite unfortunate. He's now the one under his words that people can no longer protest. It is under his words that people can no longer speak. People can no longer talk. But you see, as opposition, we have decided that nobody is going to gag us. Nobody is going to gag us. We will continue to express our situation, analyze issues, criticize government, in a very productive and constructive manner, until they listen, until they do the right thing. No, in terms of the protests achieving their aims or not, what is important is that people are coming out to express themselves and calling attention of the local and international communities into the misuse of power in Nigeria, into misgovernance in Nigeria, into the humongous corruption going on in Nigeria. That alone is something that should be celebrated.
In fact, they labeled this protest as ill-conceived, right? Ill-conceived rather, and mischievous, and there were claims that it was to overshadow the National Police Day that was being celebrated yesterday. However, Showari obviously came out to reject those claims because there are people who have, they have what they want to speak about, and that's what they're trying to use this protest for, not just because they want to overshadow the claims by the police. But how would you react to this? Do you think that's what was happening here or not?
I didn't get the last part of your question.
So the claims are they wanted to use it to overshadow the National Police Force Day. So how do you respond to that? Are those claims true or not?
That is neither here nor there. It's just they're just leaving the issues and discussing. It's like leaving the building and discussing scaffolding. What is important is that there's nobody to overshadow whatever. No, the people have a right at any point in time, no matter what it is coinciding with, to come out and protest, peaceful protest, to express themselves, to express their frustration, to express their disappointment as citizens, as bona fide citizens of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. So the attempt at blackmail, to blackmail the protesters, to blackmail the process is dead on arrival. That is neither here nor there. What is important is that the economy is not good. People are coming out to talk. The police and the DSS and other security agencies are misusing the Cybercrime Act, to oppress the people, even people who ordinarily express responsible opinions on social media. You go after them, and begin to arrest them or harass them, put them in jail and the rest of that. So that's what this protest is all about. It's about hunger in the land. It's about the unemployment in the land. It's about the economic downturn in the land. It's about the misrule in the land. It's about the injustices in the land. So it's not about all these things they are trying to blackmail the protesters just to rubbish whatever they are doing. It's not working. Nigerians aren't buying their stories. Nigerians aren't buying their lies. Nigerians aren't buying their propaganda and blackmail. So that is it. The police, the army, anybody cannot stop the people from exercising their fundamental rights under the 1999 Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. That is my take about that.
Now, it seems the youths and so many other groups, coalition, opposition parties and all that are coming out to express themselves and talk about how the country is not going how they should go. Does this give the opposition any incentive to be better than it is right now? Do you think the opposition can capitalize on the fact that people are airing their views about this government and the way things are run to become stronger? And what are the prospects of this opposition in 2027, the way you see it?
Well, if I get it correctly, because the thing is not loud enough, if it's about opposition capitalizing on the mass disaffection in the country to make some political gains in 2027, I would say it's within the legitimate democratic right of the opposition to be able to achieve that. But what is important is that we will join any process or any protest that highlights the suffering of Nigeria, of the Nigerian people. That's what the APC, the coalition that later became APC, did against the Jonathan government in 2013. As a matter of fact, from 2012, 2013, 2014, before they took over the government in 2015. So that's what they did. So there's nothing amiss if the opposition comes together, because the coalition that we are cooking, that we are preparing now, by the time it coagulates, by the time everything, arranges well, aligns well. Now, Nigerians, we have a coalition that is able to fight for their rights, that is able to fight for their interests, that is able to lead, from the front about their interests, to be able to rescue this country from the current parlous situation that it is. So that is our assignment, that is our duty, that is our objective, and that is what we are going to do, because affliction shall not rise a second time. We must do everything to make sure that this APC government does not continue beyond 2027, because things will get worse. And now that we have a strong suspicion that the president is creating crisis among political parties, in order for us not to be able to come together, not to be able to have the peace of mind to come together to organize for the 2027 election, we know that he's trying to run the country into a one-party state. That is the plan, to a one-party state. And that is why INEC is also doing the bidding of the APC by refusing to register political parties since 2019. They registered 72 political parties in one fell swoop, and since then, today, they have not deemed it fit to register one single political party. And this is to the advantage of the APC. And that is why one of the APC, big wigs was saying 2 days or so ago that all the political parties that applied for registration, they are being sponsored by the El Rufais of this world, by articles of this world and the rest of that. I don't even know where they get that from. So they are afraid of expanding the political space. They want to show the political space. They want to show the democratic space, so that it will remain the APC will remain the only surviving political party in the country. So all other opposition political parties will be in crisis. They will not even have time to conduct primary, not to talk of even producing candidates for the presidency, especially. So that is the agenda. That is the scheme. That is the evil plan of the powers that be. And we will do everything to make sure that we resist that. You cannot turn Nigeria into a one-party state. You cannot turn Nigeria into a totalitarian state. Right. You cannot turn Nigeria into a police state. We will not accept that. We will not sit back and do nothing about that. That is why we do everything within the ambit of the law to ensure.
So that's what we're asking you. You've made a statement now that they're obviously trying to make it a one-party state and all of the things that you've said. Do you have evidence to prove this? Do you have evidence to back it up?
Yeah, the evidence are out there in the public. The fact that all the crises in the opposition political party, like PDP, Labour Party, now they are attempting to even hit the Social Democratic Party. We know all these things are being orchestrated by some powers that be. That's it. And what do you want to achieve? If you want to kill other political parties for only one to survive, that is an agenda to turn Nigeria into a one-party state. That's the evidence enough. At the crisis there that big, even Labour Party now, we don't even know that there's a crisis of leadership. The Supreme Court, gave a judgment that amounted to double speak. That is not very clear. It's not declared.
Okay, Comrade.
It's not a opinion. So
what's your party doing? What's the coalition? Can you hear me? So what's the coalition doing to resolve all of these leadership issues? Because I think this is where you come in.
Because if we have been speaking against bad governance, we have been speaking against injustice, we have been speaking against things that are not against bad economic policies of the government, and of course we are organizing. It's not everything. It's not all the moves and activities behind the scenes that can be done on the pages of newspaper or on the screens of television. A lot of things are going on. A lot of consultations, a lot of contact, a lot of alignment and realignment to be able to form a formidable front to present a presidential candidate that all of us can support in 2027. Because if we continue to operate in the way of the far corner cannot hear the far corner, things fall apart, the center cannot hold. We will not be able to be strong enough to confront the armada of a Tinubu in 2027. So that is why unity of purpose is very important. Speaking with one voice, having one mind is very important. Coalescing behind one strong candidate is extremely important. So the earlier the opposition coalition gets its act together, the better for us, because Tinubu is not waiting even for INEC to say they have lifted, he's not waiting for the campaign period. They are already posters and buses are all over the place. Tinubu 2027 with his picture and his wife, and they are violating the Electoral Act. They are violating the Electoral Act.
Okay.
Come to Abuja, you see is a big boss all over the place. Right. You see bosses on the street of Abuja with Tinubu 2027. When the man has barely spent 2 years in office, that is breaking the law. That is impunity.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, I'm hearing you.
Yes. So what is the strongest point that the opposition will have going into 2027? Remember that the APC came on board, not just this present administration, but from the time of Buhari, they came on board. Security, economy, corruption, those are the pillars that they rode on and said that they were going to make all these things better. What is the flaw of this present administration that the opposition might ride on in 2027? What's your strongest advantage owing to the failure of this government that you can pinpoint that you will ride on in 2027?
You just took the word out of my mouth. Our strongest position, our strongest point is the fact that this government, the current government, the Tinubu presidency, has failed woefully, has failed disastrously. The security they promised is getting worse, the economy is down, and the education is nowhere. The health situation in the country is horrible. Can you imagine if you go to the Lagos University Hospital, Luz, that was a flagship of Nigerian health industry in those days, the cousin hit his head, had an accident, hit his head. They took him to the Luz, and they don't have scanning machine in the Luz. They don't have the machine to scan, to do brain scanning in the Luz as we talk today. We go to the facility is dilapidated, everything. There is health crisis in the country. So everything is down. Education is down. Security is nowhere. Economy is bad. Those are the strongest points for us in 2027. We are going into 2027 to give Nigerians a new direction, because Nigeria needs a new direction. That new direction is going to be a new direction from insecurity. It's going to be a new direction from incompetency. It's going to be a new direction from corruption. It's going to be a new direction from hunger and suffering and insecurity in the land. It's going to be a new direction. Nigeria, the opposition, of course, the failed promises, the failed policies of this government, we campaign more against them. The hunger in the land, we campaign more against them. Look at what is happening in Plateau. Look at what is happening in Benue. Benue people have been under the siege for over 10 years, and the APC government has failed woefully to protect those people. They have been abandoned to their fate, and they have been killed every day. There's an APC governor in Benue State. There's an APC president here as president of Nigeria. Yet, on a daily basis, the people in the Benue and the Plateau are under attack. They have been killed. They have been marauded. Villages, hundreds of villages have been taken over by killer others, by terrorists, and this government has no answer whatsoever to the killings. When the Reverend gentleman became governor of Benue State, we thought something better would come out of it. Now the man has worsened the situation. At least Autumn came out to speak for his people, to be active for his people. This governor, this Reverend gentleman, is just there. He's saying nothing. He's more or less collaborating and cooperating with the people that are terrorizing his people. This is failure. This is government failure at its worst, and we must speak against this. There's no way we can talk about it that it's a security meltdown, it's an economic meltdown, it's a socio-political meltdown. And in fact, when we call on the president to even resign from his position because he has failed the country, he has failed to protect the citizens, and that should be his number one assignment as the president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. He has failed. He has to go. He has to resign.
Okay, sir. So what is your final message for the Nigerian youth who are obviously seeking change? Because you've highlighted a lot of things that have been wrong with this administration. So for people who are seeking change, maybe it could be from this government or the opposition, but we all want one thing. We want a system that works. We want a country that is better in every aspect, right? So what's your message to the people out there right now?
My message to compatriots is the fact that we must continue to be patriotic. He must do everything within the ambit of the law in a peaceful, organized manner to ensure that we get a government into office, a president into office, government into office in 2027, that we act in accordance with the aspiration and interest of Nigerians and Nigeria, that we provide security, that we incorruptible, that we give Nigerians a new lease of life. And that's why I know the word change has been bastardized by the APC. So we are talking about a new direction, a redirection of Nigeria from the current rot, from the current backwardness, from the current stifling of the democratic space. We need it. Fellow Nigerians, we need it. We need to come together in a peaceful, legal, constitutional way to ensure that APC does not continue beyond 2027. We must ensure that we put someone in the State House that understands the feelings of the people, the sufferings of the people, the pains of the people, and is determined and patriotic to do something about it. There are many other, I still continue to say, even though I'm not a member of the SDP presidential candidate for 2023, Adebayo, probably had, in fact, not probably, had the best manifesto, and that's the only presidential candidate that said he would not remove all subsidy. That was the only presidential candidate. And I don't understand how we miss that opportunity to get somebody who is a success on his own into that place. There are credible presidential candidates, but that one stands out as far as I know, as far as I'm concerned. Because he said, I'm not going to remove oil subsidy. There was no need. And we know that the removal of subsidy is the source, is the beginning, is the alpha and omega of the suffering, hunger, and insecurity in the land today. And in fact, the president does not even have answer to it again. That is why, you see, he left the country in crisis and went to France. So,
all right, sir. This is how much we can take right now.
Nigeria to come together. We must reject ethnicity. We should not be fighting against one another on the basis of religion and ethnicity. We need to come together. The people
all right, thank you so much.
Let us be united to remove bad governance from this country.
Thank you. I think that's just a great way to, to just land right now. We've been speaking on the democratic dilemma. So we're looking at the opposition to tighten up, their belts in this case, put their houses together, give us an alternative, maybe not to change, but like you said, a redirection towards a greater Nigeria. So hopefully we'll get to see that really soon. Comrade Mark, I want to say thank you so much for coming. It's always a pleasure having you on our program. Thank you for your time.
Me. Plus TV Africa, continue to do greatly as you are doing, being pro people, being pro masses, being pro good governance.
Thank you.
And bringing all of us together to articulate our issues.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. All right, so we're speaking with Comrade Mark Adebayo, as a spokesperson for the CUPP, and we've just been looking at Nigeria's democratic dilemma and the fact that the youth have been on the streets in the Take It Back movement, and opposition, well, they've been in shambles, but we're hoping that they can galvanize themselves and put things in order. We'll go on a short break now. When we return, we're discussing the fact that fuel remains costly despite falling crude prices. Please stay with us.